All right, let's talk about Tailwind CSS. If you're anywhere near web development, you've definitely heard the buzz. It's one of those tools that people either absolutely love or really don't. It's super popular, but also super divisive. So today, we're going to break it all down. What it is, why it ruffles so many feathers, and how it can totally change the way you write your code.
And this quote right here from a developer on Reddit, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This is the gut reaction so many people have. You look at a file styled with Tailwind for the first time, and it's just this long, chaotic-looking string of classes in the HTML. It goes against everything we were taught about separating our code. So what's the deal? Is it just messy, or is there a method to the madness?
Well, to really get why a tool like Tailwind even exists, we have to take a step back and look at the problems it's trying to fix. We've been writing CSS the traditional way for decades, and anyone who's ever worked on a big project knows it can be a real headache.
I mean, I bet these points feel painfully familiar, right? You're constantly trying to invent the perfect class name, car-header-title wrapper, main content-user-avatar. You know the drill. Before you know it, your CSS file is thousands of lines long, and you spend all day just jumping back and forth between your HTML and your CSS, trying to remember what style's what. And the worst part? You get the fear. That feeling when you need to change one little style and you're just praying you don't accidentally break the entire layout on some other page you forgot about.
So this is where Tailwind comes in and just flips the whole script. The big idea is this: stop writing custom CSS. Instead, you build everything by combining tiny, reusable utility classes, and you do it right there in your HTML. Let's see how that actually plays out.
The core philosophy is called utility first. Think of it like this. Every single class has one very specific job. It adds a bit of padding, or it centers some text, or it sets a background color. That's it. So you're not getting pre-built components like a card or a button. You're getting the fundamental building blocks to create your own components from scratch.
And honestly, the best way to think about it is with Legos. This analogy is perfect. Most other frameworks, they give you a pre-built Lego car. It's a car, it looks good, but good luck trying to turn it into a spaceship. Tailwind doesn't give you the car, it just hands you a giant bin of every individual Lego brick you can imagine and says, go wild. You can build the car, the spaceship, a castle, anything.
Okay, so let's look at some of these Lego bricks up close. For example, you've got a class like P8. Its only job in life is to apply a specific amount of padding. That's it. Simple, right?
Then you've got something like Flex1. All this does is tell a flex item to grow and fill whatever space is available. Again, one class, one job.
And one more, grid calls 4. You can probably guess what this does. Yep, it creates a 4-column grid. You're starting to see the pattern, right? Just tiny, predictable, single-purpose blocks.
Now this is where you take all those little bricks and start clicking them together. By combining them, you can build something complex, like this responsive component. That MD flex part, it just means on medium screens and up, make this a flex container. The image is full width by default with W full, but then on those same medium screens, MDW48 kicks in and gives it a fixed width. You are literally composing the design, piece by piece, right there in the markup. And yes, this brings us right back to that messy HTML critique, but stick with me.
Because while that utility-first idea is the foundation, the real magic, the thing that addresses pretty much all the criticisms, is Tailwind's just-in-time engine. Seriously, this thing is a total game changer. This brings us to a really important question. You might be thinking, okay, that's cool, but what if I need a very specific color or size that isn't in their default list? Am I just stuck?
In the old days of Tailwind, the answer was kind of. You had to go mess for the big config file, and it could make your final CSS file pretty chunky. But the JIT compiler flipped this completely. Instead of generating a huge file with everything you might need, it scans your code, sees exactly which classes you used, and generates only the CSS you actually need, on the fly. This means your build process is lightning fast, and it unlocks some incredible new features.
So let's go back to that specific complaint from earlier. The developer felt trapped, like they couldn't use their own custom values. And to be fair, with older versions of Tailwind, that was a real frustration.
But check this out. The JIT engine solution is just brilliant. Arbitrary values. By using these square brackets, you can generate a utility class for any value you want, right when you need it. You need a weirdly specific position of -113 pixels? No problem. Just type top-113 pixels. Need the exact hex code for your company's brand color? Boom, BG-#1DA1F1. And just like that, the feeling of being trapped in a system completely vanishes.
And it gets even wilder.
Because the JIT engine generates everything on demand, you can stack these modifiers like crazy. Look at this class. This applies a style only on medium screens, and in dark mode, and when the element is disabled, and when it's focused, and when you're hovering over it. I mean, just imagine trying to write that selector in a normal CSS file. It would be a nightmare to maintain. Here, it's just one readable string.
Okay, so we've geeked out on the tech, but what does all this actually mean for developers in the real world? What's the impact on a team trying to ship a product?
Well, we don't have to guess. This survey actually analyzed the real-world impact of utility-first frameworks like Tailwind, so we can move beyond just opinions and look at some actual data on the developer experience. First up, speed. A solid 62% of developers reported that they could build things faster. It makes sense, right? You're not jumping between files, you're not making up class names, you're just building. And this one might be even more important, especially for big apps: maintenance. A whopping 71% found it easier to maintain large-scale projects. Why? Because the styles are attached directly to the element. You can change something here and know with 100% certainty you didn't break something over there. That fear of making changes we talked about, it starts to disappear.
And this final number really says it all: a 90% overall satisfaction rate. Once developers get over that initial "this looks messy" reaction and embrace the workflow, they tend to really like it. They find that it solves way more problems than it creates.
So after all that, we land on the final, most important question. Is this the right tool for you and your next project?
It really all boils down to this core trade-off. On the one hand, you get incredible speed. You can build completely custom designs faster than ever without writing a separate line of CSS. On the other hand, your HTML gets verbose. It just does. All that styling logic lives right there in your markup. And for some people, that visual clutter is a deal breaker.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. For whatever you're building next, do you value speed and long-term maintainability? Are you building something so custom that pre-built components just feel too restrictive? If the answer is yes, then maybe this toolkit of low-level Lego bricks is exactly the revolution you've been